Hello, and welcome to yet another one of our cinematic level podcasts. This one is on lighting. So let's go ahead and see what we're talking about. So, lighting is the act of lighting a set or a location for filming. I would say very rarely are directors able to just have the natural ambient light of an outdoor location be enough to properly light the set in terms of what their cameras need, in terms of the effect they're going after. So oftentimes even outdoors are artificially lit and manipulated and crafted in order to create the story that they're going after. And so, needless to say, in an interior set, that's going to be even more controlled in the lighting fashion. And so the point of manipulating the lighting is to help create colors, shapes, textures of the shot. We can create depth, we can create focus, we can create emphasis by using a very specific light. So lighting really is an important part of the movie making process, but oftentimes it's just glossed over because we assume that's just the way it was, when in fact this has been tremendously manipulated by the director or the director of photography, the DP, in order to create these emotional levels that the overall director might be looking for. So we'll talk through a couple different types of lighting that you will see and that you'll want to become familiar with as we look at film. And so the first one is the idea of low-key lighting. Low-key lighting may not be just completely dark or that every bulb in the room is on 50% power. You can certainly have elements of bright light contrasting with darkness and shadow. You're looking at the overall effect of a low-key lit moment. And basically what this does is it creates a lot of darkness and creates a lot of shadows. That's what it does on the literal level. So what are the interpretive effects of this low-key lighting? Well, since many shadows are created, we have the potential for some amount of suspense, uncertainty, and doubt. Since we can't see every element of everyone on the set, we have to fill in the gaps with what we interpret or infer is going on. And what exactly does that character's face look like in that image in front of you? Is he being contemplative about what he's going to say? Is he about to crack into a smile? Is he exceptionally sad? Since we don't know because he is being lit from a different angle and the overall feeling is of low key, we have to fill in the gaps, we have to make some interpretations. And so low key lighting oftentimes creates suspense, scariness. And we tend to see it in films that are more of the noir style or perhaps the horror genre. Here's an example from Shakespeare in Love. We can see that Shakespeare himself is a little bit half and half. We get some direct light on his face, but then we get some shadows in behind. And so we can see parts of him, but we can't see all of him. A very poignant part in the movie Shakespeare in Love, but because we can't see every detail, we are left with filling in some of the gaps ourselves, and it creates this mood of darkness, sadness, suspense. Some other examples at the top, we see Enemy of the State. We get the lighting source coming in from what seems to be some sort of a window off to the side of this meeting table, and it's casting shadows on people's faces. We are to interpret shadows on people's faces as that those people may have some dubious nature about them. Maybe they're not being completely honest. Maybe they're trying to hide something. And so we have lighting reinforcing that. And so an example of how the lighting can help tell the story, we have an example from the movie Psycho, where we have Marion Crane in the upper left, and she's talking to Norman Bates in the bottom right. Now, in the moving scene, these are kind of going back and forth in terms of conversation. But we see that Marion is lit in a very neutral lighting. We don't see a lot of shadows surrounding her. But then when the camera cuts back to Norman Bates, we see more shadow. There seems to be more suspense surrounding him. Now, at this point in the movie, it's pretty early. She's clearly alive, and we don't know too much about Norman Bates. He seems like a nice guy. He's opening up his hotel for her, giving her a place to stay, etc. But Hitchcock is telling us a little bit more about this Norman Bates character, not through what he says or what he does, but through the lighting that is employed to light him. So she gets neutral lighting, and he gets low key. Example from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Legend of Bagger Vance. So the opposite of low-key lighting would be what we call high-key lighting. Very bright, very open, a lack of shadows. And so that's what you're going to physically observe. Very bright light, very much in your face. So some examples from Yankee Doodle Dandy. And so then what are the interpretive effects of this? Well, no shadows will be created. Everything is just completely full, white, bright light. So that's what you observe. The interpretation of that is often that there's great excitement, there's great energy surrounding whatever is being lit. And because we don't have shadows, because everybody's face is fully lit and we can see it, we interpret them to be honest. They're not hiding anything because they can't hide. There are no shadows to duck into. Everything is very bright and in your face. Therefore, we assume that they are going to be honest. The interpretive level of lighting can offer us a lot about characters, just based on how they are continually lit throughout a movie. We can then go ahead and manipulate lighting a lot in film because we have the ability to use very specific pinpoints of light, and so we can help tell the story that way. But we have the bottom side or backlighting. And so this is kind of the idea of when you're out camping and someone wants to tell a ghost story and they want to make themselves look all scary, so they take the flashlight and hold it up under their face. Certain features are highlighted, and at times they look a little bit scary. That's exactly what bottom side and backlighting are. Depending on where the light source is coming from, depending on which features are highlighted, that's what we have. So that flashlight under your chin is going to be bottom. If we have a light source coming from the left, it's going to be side. And if the light source is directly behind the subject, that's going to be backlighting. So an example from The Graduate. Again, from Good Night and Good Luck. And so what exactly are the effects? What are the interpretive level meanings of these? Well, again, certain features are highlighted. So maybe we can see in a side lighting scenario, we see half their face, but the other half is in shadow. Maybe it's from behind in a backlighting scenario. This again creates suspense because we don't know, are they coming at us in a happy way, in a scary way, mean? Like we just can't tell until their face emerges into the light. And so it could imply that a character is hiding something, that they are somewhat sinister, that they are quote unquote two-faced, meaning the good and the bad, or that they're just exceptionally complex. The lit side signifying their goodness and the dark side signifying, their blackness, their evil nature. In the movie Psycho, we get this whole scene in the shower, and not to give away the ending or anything, but it is important that the person who goes into the shower and does all the slicing and dicing is backlit. Because whoever that person is, their identity needs to be kept hidden or this movie falls apart. So when the person comes in and is backlit, wow, interesting. Seems like an old lady. She's out there killing this person, Marion Crane, in the shower. She is backlit. We can't see her features. We can't see who she is. Cool Hand Luke, another example of some side lighting. So the light source is clearly coming from the left-hand side of the screen, and then the right-hand side is in shadow. And if you've seen the movie Cool Hand Luke with Steve McQueen, he is a complex character in this movie. He is a little two-faced. While he is in a prison work camp, he's a generally good person. He's made some stupid mistakes, but he did serve his country in the army. He is in a prison camp, but he's a good person. So they can reinforce that whenever they are showing him as a little bit lit and dark at the same time. An example of some backlighting from Armageddon, the light source coming from behind the cowboy who's running away from the helicopters who are chasing him. Now, this last type of lighting is what I call Americana lighting, and I know for any better trained professionals out there, I know that this is not its correct name, but I didn't know what else to call it, and it seems to me that this comes up a lot in American mainstream Hollywood cinema. So I'm calling it Americana lighting because to me, it just seems like in films where there's like this amazing yay America moment, where we are trying to capture this feeling of small townedness, feeling of warmth of like a sunset. It seems like these lighting moments come out in movies at that time. So, for example, we get some stills here from the movie Armageddon, where at the end of this movie, the people sent up to the asteroid to blow it up with a nuclear weapon have succeeded, and the world is safe, and America has done it. And so we get this whole sunset feel. It's very warm, it's very caring, kind of small townsy. And then so to me, that just seemed to ring out Americana. Another example of some scenes from there. Some kids going down Main Street with their soapbox derby creations in front of the ubiquitous red fire truck. In the bottom right, you get the kids running out their space shuttles, celebrating the fact that the American shuttle was the one who did this great thing and saved America, framed with the picture of Kennedy. And again, why would they have Kennedy there? Well, he was the one who pushed for all the space exploration back in the 60s, and many people could say NASA got its start under his administration. But the point is, the lighting of it is this darker red, very sunset-like overtones that seems to imply a warmth, a small-townedness for me. So that's it for now in terms of lighting. Just make sure that you're familiar with the ideas of low key, high key, side, bottom, or backlighting, and then if you want to, the idea of Americana lighting. Again, not its official title, but just the word that I kind of came up with on my own, I guess. So as always, make sure you know what those terms are. Be ready to talk about those in class and how they are playing havoc on any one text that we're watching. If you have any questions, bring those in. Otherwise, we will see you soon, and thanks for listening.